chopper! Right there! Watch your jet, bro. Watch your jet!
Fucking hit one. I fucking hopped over the jet.
Target eliminated! Enemy neutralized!
I do this shit. Alright, so first things first, I always play on full screen, but for the sake of the video, borderless window just makes it a whole lot easier. So I have my whole setup in the description. Fun fact, it's in every description, so if I do update something like my sensitivity or whatever, I will update that in the future videos. And the other main point is, use what works best for you, okay? I just want to show what I use. I'm sure a lot of people are curious. I might have some good insight on certain binds and stuff like that, but overall, especially on mouse and keyboard, use what's best for your setup and what's best for your feel. I actually want to start off with my NVIDIA settings. I turn my settings into Play-Doh by going into preset L. It works best with Ultra Performance or Performance DLSS setting in the game options. And I believe it's best for the newer cards, if I'm not mistaken, so honestly, you just want to Google what's best for your card for the specific series, but it's definitely worth giving preset L a try. And these other settings are just off. My 3D app setting, I don't use frame generation, I don't use the ray tracing. Most of this just depends on your setup, so if you want to cap your frame rate, I believe this is a good way to do it, or through Steam. And then any option that says performance, I choose that. I have a cool monitor that was on sale, so I got the G-Sync, woohoo. I was kind of terrified of it at first. I had to do a whole bunch of research because, you know, we don't like V-Sync. So when I saw this, I was like, oh shit. But nope, G-Sync is great. And then I should have everything off, auto, or high performance. So onto the program settings. Basically the same thing, it's just using the 3D app settings or whatever. And then we're just setting everything to low or ultra performance. It all just matches what's in game. So yeah, it's pretty much all the same. 2K res. Just like in game, I use the normal low latency mode. So I use a program called Voicemeter Potato. I paid like 10 bucks. I think it's $10 USD, so it was like 16 bucks for me Canadian or something like that. Well worth it because I don't even know how to use the program. I literally just make sure it's on, which it's on by default. And long story short, it's just a whole lot better than the normal Windows audio. It just destroys it, to be honest. I believe these are called the Sennheiser IE200s, IEMs. Basically, I just didn't want a headset, but I'm very glad I picked these because, honestly, with the headset, I mean, I've never had a really expensive pair or anything like that, but the bass on explosions and stuff like that can be overwhelming, whereas these are actually much more balanced. So I actually really like it for this game. Alright, so here's my mouse. When I remember, I set this to 0 when I'm actually playing the game. Set it like this, but I have it on 4 just in case I forget. The only DPI I use right now is 1600. Alright, to finish off the video settings portion, here's the rest of the actual in-game settings. I messed around with the back-end frame cap, and for me, 30 was the best for actual in-game frames, not the background frames. As you can see, I really like to conserve energy in the lobby. The sharpness is at 0. That's a way that a lot of people wouldn't think to save FPS, but yeah, it helps. You will notice it though, it is pretty ugly. VSync off, of course, fast sync off. I like to use maximum FOV, this is great. But if you play D-Wolf, it's going up to 130 when you pop the ult, so that's pretty insane. So this scope magnification is different from the actual one. This actually just affects your graphics, so it's off. This will make it so that you don't get flashbanged in real life. It makes your screen turn black instead of white. And then all the graphics settings just match the settings in NVIDIA. Here's what I believe works best with the preset L. Ultra performance, low latency. If you haven't turned this on, make sure you try it. Because I was testing it, and I never turned it off. I forgot that I was even testing it. Just instantly loved it. This is all preference, but I highly recommend you turn these down because when you go and preview the Mandelberg skins, those videos will take your ears off, so make sure you turn these down. Alright, so I might actually try this right now. Screen UI element size. Smaller the better. I mean, more you can actually see on your screen. These operation settings, I do not want to give a say for because I'm a Warfare player. The minimap's the only UI you want larger on your screen because you're actually using this, alright? I recommend turning it up as much as you want. I got 122. It was just me messing around with it. Yeah, let's go 123. So we have an interesting operator preference right here, okay? 4 direction only. I did not like it. I tried it. Really wasn't that different, but it really just... I really feel like it just limits the potential. Especially like wrapping around corners 90 degrees and stuff like that. To be honest, I'm not 100% sure why. You sometimes just can't change this, but you want this on. The scope magnification adapts automatically. That's what I use for the 1.0 zooms on every build pretty much. And that's why the visual recoil is like non-existent. You can't see as far, but it's worth it once you get used to it. So personally, I have this one off. I want to be able to actually move my WASD without automatically just mantling onto something. I've always had these 2 settings on, and I guess they've been helping. Yeah, goated setting, I guess. Of course, we got the auto parachute off. This would ruin every clip of my intros. My god, I wouldn't be able to play. And I feel like sometimes it still automatically happens in some cases. Glad that's there, glad it's off. Of course, we got pink. I would just recommend that you turn down the transparency for these mark wheels. Make sure you look out for settings like these next season, because we're getting way better ones, I believe. I went from 1.2 to 1.21. Such a ginormous change, I know. I don't know why, it just felt right. Like, I just felt like I was tracking a little tiny bit too slow. and then I switched it, kind of forgot about it, and it's been working out. I have set sensitivity per zoom, but the only issue with that is you're gonna have to, like, manually set all your scopes and stuff like that, because they're going to feel very, very, very sensitive. Okay, so I like 1.0 zoom, and the only reason I went 0.99 is because it is the same, essentially, but it's just fast, because you're traveling less pixels or whatever, but yeah, long story short, 0.99 for the 2 makes it feel pretty smooth. 4 to 8, honestly, I probably need to adjust. I don't use it enough. These settings are all default, I believe, just the regular stuff. These are all off. I'd say my ground vehicle sensitivity's fine. Might not be perfect, to be honest. Especially these other ones. I wasn't paying attention when I set these clearly. It's kind of weird that they let you change your gun sensitivity while you're... yeah, it's dumb. I like the customization, but holy shit. Same with my helicopter settings. I need to really learn the helicopter. This is what I do know. So I have these all maxed out. Just feels like I can turn faster. So when you right click, really tightens up how fast you can shoot. I mainly just like to use the third person view. I might turn this back up to 7 in the future, we'll see, but you get the idea. And then the rest of this, alright, fine. Let me update it. Yeah, I was having issues with it. I couldn't crouch, but I could do other things with control. It was really annoying. So I basically just binded it to L, and that's my bottom mouse button. So I dive by scrolling up, and the reason I do that is because you can't shoot while you're doing the animation, so perfect time to take your finger off the left click. I forgot I was going to try actually going mantle only bind and jump only bind, but I never committed to that, so I just use spacebar. That's why that's binded though. And my peeking's on toggle. Most of these settings are all default, except for the knifing. I actually knife by scrolling down. I was also running out of buttons. I switched my firing mode to J because you're hitting that once a game usually, for most weapons. So I really wanted it out of the way. Same with the tactical device, it's perfect there. I put the weapon inspection on caps so it's easy to hit. Hit some trick shots, important button. And then whatever you do use your gadgets on, highly recommend trying quick throw, especially for grenades. You don't have to press the button and then press another one. You just hold it, especially for Zoya with like smoke and stuff. Just instantly throw it at the ground. I believe this is just regular. And my vehicle binds should be mostly normal stuff. Yeah, it's looking very default. I had to switch the perspective button because I had it unbinded. I've honestly needed to change that because mouse bind issues. I like to press both at the same time. I'll press shift and I'll look up. I just spam it. It's all about the angle of your jet. If you're really willing to go full 90 degrees and get close to the ground, that's how you overtake people. Alright, so it's been a long time since I've played controller, but I highly recommend at least trying the linear response curve. Pretty much all you want to do is try to get these dead zones as low as possible without your stick moving on its own. And then same with this activation. I mean, as long as it's not shooting on its own, you want this as low as you possibly can. So I set this to custom, more sensitivity settings, and here is what I had set up. I almost dropped 100 kills on PC, using controller before they actually like revamp the controls and stuff like that. So it's definitely doable. Recommend turning off vibration, keep this on. This is just for the menu. For vehicles, you honestly just want to maybe match it up with your normal sensitivity, but really just gonna have to feel that out. So auto tactical sprint will save your thumb from constantly having to press it all day. Great addition. I would press the slide because you can shoot immediately, whereas the dive you cannot, so best combo there. And then we're going to flip these new settings on, of course. Feel free to flip that on, that's a great setting I've used in a lot of games. Here's an important setting, and it really depends on your gun, because holding breath's really good, it makes your sway literally perfect, and it does reduce a little bit of recoil depending on your sub-attributes. So if you have a good amount of stability, and it's a low fire rate weapon, because it has a capacity, and it's also based on how many bullets you're shooting. If you watch the lung icon at the bottom center of your screen, a lot of people haven't even seen it before. So yeah, like the SMG-45 with a lot of stability, you could turn this on and just completely benefit. Whereas if you like the Vector, and it has like low stability, you're gonna lose your breath, and it's going to make your aim wobble all over the place. So don't forget about this setting, especially if you use marksman rifles or snipers, just turn that on. Alright, so this is a really cool setting. I would definitely hold to interact. You're used to just pressing reload. This is going to be the easiest one to get used to and remember. And then these bottom two are just whether or not you want to hold the button or just press it. Just remember you can press it again to stop the give up bar. You can just tap it. Alright, so they switched it back to default on me. Basically, the only thing I would switch is the jump to left, well for me, L1, the top left button, just so you can move, jump, and aim all at the same time. And then you can just swap that out for Gadget 1. Or you could just keep it in main Viren, because hitting the dashes with L1 could also be extremely beneficial. So the default settings are honestly not bad. There's so many binds for so little buttons that, I mean, they tried their best. I showed it, but I forgot to mention it. We do have the auto lean peek on, but while you're aiming down sights, you can press the top buttons and actually do it manually if it's not actually working. So the default settings are pretty decent for the aircraft, for the fighter. I just don't have the helicopter experience in general to even help with that, so apologize for that. Appreciate you guys for watching. Join the Discord, use code RAZOR. I'm not sure why the console players can't see the support creators button. If anyone can help me with that, please let me know. I gotta put my code back in. I'll see you in the next video. I'm out. Peace.